Hi, I'm Tim Collins. I'm a professional pitcher. This is my off-season strength and conditioning coach, Eric Cressy. And today we're going to be going through some of the core exercises that I like to do to get me ready for the season. And because I have such a violent windup and I have so much tilt in the back, for me, I have to have a strong core. So Eric's going to take me through some of the exercises that I like to do for my core. He's going to demonstrate it, and I'm going to throw in some points.
The thing to really remember about the core is that its true role is to take all that force that Tim generates down in his lower body and transfer it up to his upper body so he can eventually get it to the ball. So if you have a really unstable core, you're not just at risk of decreased performance, loss in velocity when you throw, but you're also more likely to get injured. So the big thing we see with younger populations, kids in their early teens, is a lot of times they don't control extension well. So they kind of hang out in a really arched low back position. And that's why we sometimes see stress fractures in low backs and younger kids. And obviously a good strong core and good mobility at your hips and your upper back are important for creating an environment where the force is transferred through the right places, the force is created in the right places. And that's why the core work that we're going to do with Tim today is so important for young athletes. We want to keep you healthy and performing well. So we're going to start at kind of the earliest progression we use with our guys. We're going to go right down to the floor here. And we're just going to do something called a prone bridge. And what you'll see when Tim goes down to his forearms and his toes, okay, is we're going to work to create a nice straight line of his entire torso, okay? So right now, Tim's got his butt cheeks pulled together. You talk about keeping your glutes tight. And what you'll see is gravity is actually trying to push his low back down to the ground. So if we let gravity do its job, he would just slip into an arched position. Instead, we're gonna get up Tim nice and tall. And I'll usually reach right underneath, and I'll kind of tap him in the stomach a little bit, make sure he's really activating that core. He's got his glutes activated right here, a nice straight line. You'll notice he's not fully protracted, but he's not also so far back that he's really arched in his low back. Instead, we just let those scapulas sit right where they want. The cue that I like to use with our athletes is I tell them you should stare directly down at your fists. Okay? If you put your hands way out in front further, it's going to make it a lot harder for you. And we'll let Tim relax because he's been going for about 2 minutes now. But with this exercise, what we'll usually do with an early strength training population is we might do a 10-second hold, let them set down, gather their thoughts, and then we do another 10-second hold and just kind of work our way up that way. Rather than say, all right, I want you to hold for 60 seconds. Usually what happens when you do a real long hold like that is that you wind up breaking down with your form and ingraining some bad techniques. So we want to stay away from practicing the wrong way. We want to make sure it's perfect practice and build on that. Okay.
Like Eric said, some key things to pay attention to is making sure that you're bracing your core and making sure that your glutes are tight. So you create that perfect, well, not perfect line, you create that good line with your spine. So like he said, he likes to check, give me a few taps on the stomach, make sure I'm bracing my core and bracing my glutes, so that you're not putting any pressure on that spine.
Okay. And along the lines of progressions, we're going to show you a second exercise that might be a little bit more advanced. Start with the prone bridges, and then we're going to go to our second, what we call anterior core exercise. So it strengthens the front of your core. Okay, this is going to be a stability ball rollout. Just make sure you got a good stability ball that doesn't have too much give to it. This one's pretty firm. Okay, so you'll notice that Tim's starting position is straight up and down. In fact, if you want to drop a plumb line, it would basically go from the top of his head right down to his knees. So in this position, he's not excessively arched at his low back. He's not all rounded over. He doesn't have a big forward head posture. Instead, it's some of those same cues that he had when he was doing the prone bridges before. Glutes tight, core braced, chin tucked, eyes straight ahead. And what we're going to do is we're actually just going to create a little bit of a greater extension to resist. So as Tim comes forward, he's going to initiate with his hips and his arms simultaneously. Come right down until his nose touches the ball. Notice how his head stays right in line with his body here. He doesn't reach and go forward like that. And so come right back up. So that would be 1 rep. We don't have to hold for that long. We usually come down maybe a little 1/1000 and then come back. So he's going to initiate it by pushing his hips forward, takes his nose to the ball. You'll notice there's not an excessive arch in his low back. His glutes are tight, his core is braced, he's got a little stretch along his upper back. He probably feels a little stretch right in the front of his torso. We'll do a couple more just to get the hang of it. So again, nice straight line, almost full shoulder flexion, okay? And we're just rolling back and forth. So another great progression. Secret is, like with the first exercise, you don't want to just ingrain bad habits. So if you can only do a set of 4 or 5, that's fine. Build on it. Maybe it's 6 the next week and 7 the week after that. But slow and steady wins the race with this. And really make sure that you pay attention to this core exercise programming and go through the right steps, because the last thing you want to do is skip steps, go to the really advanced stuff, and wind up getting into trouble because you've learned some bad habits.
Okay, guys, so those are some of the core exercises that I like to do that help me in the off season get ready for the season. Because of my throwing motion, you know, I have such a excessive arch when I throw that if I don't have a tight or good core, strong core, when I'm throwing, I could end up with some back problems. So things to remember is keep your core tight, keep your glutes tight, keep that good line, and you'll be good. This is Eric Cressy. I'm Tim Collins. Thanks for watching.